When you master these 6 habits, nothing can break you. Do you ever feel like life is pushing you to your breaking point? What if those very challenges you fear could become the stepping stones to your greatest strength? By mastering 6 transformative habits, you can turn every obstacle into opportunity and forge an unbreakable spirit. 1. Embrace change. Change is inevitable in life, as natural as the shifting seasons. Yet for so many of us, change can be one of our biggest sources of stress, often triggering fear and anxiety. Why do we struggle so much with something that is bound to happen? Usually it's because our first instinct is to resist the unknown. We worry about what we might lose or fear we might fail. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy known for fostering resilience and calm in the face of adversity, offers a powerful shift in perspective. It teaches us to see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. One Stoic practice that exemplifies this is amor fati, which means love of fate. This doesn't mean passively accepting everything that happens without effort or care. Instead, it encourages you to embrace whatever life brings and find a way to work with it. With an amor fati mindset, every unexpected event, good or bad, becomes a chance to grow rather than a reason to shrink back. By accepting change as part of your journey, you save energy that would have been spent fighting it and find more peace in moving forward. A core Stoic principle is to focus on what you can control. You often can't choose when or how change arrives, but you can always choose how you respond to it. This is where your true power lies. By directing your energy toward your response instead of resisting what you cannot control, you reclaim your emotional balance and turn even difficult changes into manageable, enriching experiences. The changes themselves might still be challenging, but your mindset can make the journey smoother and more meaningful. To truly embrace change, stay flexible in both mind and action. Think of it as learning to prepare to be unprepared, remaining calm amid uncertainty, and ready to pivot when life demands it. It means not clinging to past versions of yourself or to outdated dreams. Instead, you continuously update your understanding of who you are and what you can become. This flexibility can show up in small ways, like tweaking your daily routine to meet new challenges, or in big ways like boldly changing your career path or walking away from an unhealthy relationship in the name of growth and authenticity. Practically, you can build the habit of embracing change by regularly reflecting on your experiences, especially the tough ones, to find the lessons in them. Ask yourself questions such as, what is this situation teaching me? How can I grow from this? By questioning your experiences in this way, you train your mind to view change as a normal and even beneficial part of life, rather than something to dread. Over time, you'll start to meet new changes with a calmer, more open mindset, seeing them for what they really are: opportunities in disguise. 2. Master your emotions. We've all had moments when our emotions got the best of us. Maybe you found yourself in the heat of an argument, saying things you regretted the moment they left your mouth. Or perhaps you've been so overwhelmed by fear or excitement that it felt like your emotions were running the show, not you. It's perfectly human to feel things deeply: joy, anger, fear, love. But when we let those emotions dictate our actions without any check, our lives can quickly spiral into chaos. This is where Stoic wisdom can be a game changer. Stoicism doesn't tell us to suppress or ignore our feelings. Instead, it teaches us to understand them and manage them so they don't end up controlling us. By mastering your emotions, you maintain your inner peace even in the midst of external chaos. Stoics remind us that while we might not choose our initial feelings about something, we absolutely choose our response to those feelings. How do we do this in practice? First, by acknowledging what we feel. If you're angry, recognize that anger instead of denying it. If you're anxious or upset, admit it to yourself. Recognition is the first step toward regaining control because you can't manage what you refuse to face. Next, take a moment to question your emotion. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is my reaction proportionate to the actual situation? Often you'll find that the intensity of what you're feeling isn't fully justified by what's actually happening. One powerful Stoic strategy here is to pause before reacting. In that brief pause, the space between something happening and your response, you have the freedom to choose a more thoughtful reaction. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, your immediate impulse might be to yell or honk in anger. But a Stoic would take a deep breath, acknowledge the flash of irritation, and then decide not to let a minor incident ruin their mood. They might think, no one was hurt. It's not a big deal in the grand scheme, and carry on calmly. This doesn't mean you won't feel the rush of anger or the jolt of fear in the moment. It means you don't let that fleeting feeling dictate what you do next. By practicing this pause and deliberate response, you keep your emotions in check rather than letting them steer your every action. The key is balance. Emotions aren't bad. They can give life color and meaning, but we need to guide them with our wisdom. When you manage to stay steady instead of being swept away by a strong emotion, your decisions will be guided by clarity and reason instead of by whatever mood you're in at the moment. Cultivating this emotional balance takes reflection. Take time regularly to consider moments when your emotions took over and how things might have gone differently if you had paused. You might do this through journaling about emotional episodes, meditating on your feelings, or simply sitting quietly and reviewing the day. The idea is to build a habit of mindful awareness around your emotions. Remember that feelings are temporary. They rise and fall like waves on a shore. Knowing this, you can watch them come and go without getting swept away. When a big wave of emotion hits, remind yourself that it will recede. By observing your feelings from a slight distance, you create room to choose your response. Over time, this practice gives you a kind of mental fortitude that allows you to face life's ups and downs with much more composure and insight. 3. Set strong boundaries. Have you ever felt stretched too thin because you just couldn't say no? Maybe you agreed to take on another project at work even though your plate was already full, or you said yes to a social event you really didn't want to attend because you felt guilty declining. We've all been there. The truth is, spreading yourself too thin doesn't do you or anyone else any favors. When you're overcommitted and exhausted, you can't show up fully for the things or people that truly matter. This is where the Stoic principle of setting strong boundaries comes into play. Stoicism teaches the importance of living according to nature, and part of your nature is recognizing and respecting your own limits. Just as the natural world has boundaries, the shore that meets the sea, or the bark that protects the tree, you too need personal boundaries to protect your well-being. These boundaries aren't about building walls to shut others out. They're about defining where your responsibilities end and where your peace and self-care begin. Setting boundaries really comes down to understanding what you value most in life and making a commitment to protect those priorities. For example, if family time is sacred to you, you might establish a rule that you won't check work emails in the evening. If personal growth is a priority, you might dedicate a certain hour each morning to reading, exercise, or meditation, free from interruptions. Family time is a priority. You decide not to check work emails or take business calls during dinner or when spending quality time with loved ones. Personal growth as a priority. You set aside your early mornings for activities like reading, journaling, or meditating, and you don't let less important requests intrude on that time. Honoring these kinds of boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary. They are the non-negotiable parts of your day that allow you to live in line with your values. By protecting what matters most, you ensure you have the energy and presence of mind to give your best to everything you do. Of course, if you're not used to asserting your needs, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry about how others will react or fear that you're letting people down. But remember, Stoicism isn't about pleasing everyone or meeting all of society's expectations. It's about living a life of virtue and personal integrity. The Stoics would argue that by respecting your own limits, you're actually putting yourself in a position to contribute more meaningfully to others and to the world. When you take care of yourself, you can show up better for your family, friends, and responsibilities. Start by making small, manageable changes. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Maybe begin by politely declining one extra request this week that you know would overwhelm you. Communicate your limits clearly and respectfully without feeling the need to over-explain or apologize excessively. It can be as simple as telling someone, "I'm sorry, I can't take that on right now," and leaving it at that. You might be surprised. Most people will respect your honesty and appreciate your clarity. Another Stoic strategy is to reflect on your interactions and notice when you feel resentful or burn out. Those feelings often indicate that a boundary needs strengthening. Pay attention to those moments and use them as guidance to adjust your commitments moving forward. Ultimately, setting boundaries is about taking responsibility for your own life and happiness. It's a powerful declaration of self-respect. You're saying to yourself and others that your well-being matters. Over time, as you practice, it becomes more natural to uphold your boundaries. You'll likely find you have more energy for the things you love, less stress, and deeper connections with others because you're no longer running on empty or harboring quiet resentment. Remember, establishing healthy boundaries isn't just a practical skill. It's a Stoic practice in cultivating a balanced, intentional life. By honoring your needs and limits, you're setting the stage for greater peace within yourself and more respectful relationships with those around you. 4. Take ownership of your life. When things go wrong in life, maybe a project fails or a relationship falls apart, it's easy to point the finger at someone or something else. We might catch ourselves thinking, if only things had been different, it wouldn't have ended up this way. We've all had those moments, but Stoicism invites us to a different approach. Instead of placing blame externally, step back and look at your own role in the situation. Taking ownership of your life means accepting responsibility for your choices and actions. It's not about self-blame or beating yourself up. It's about recognizing the power you have over your own life. The Stoics teach that while we can't control everything that happens around us, we can control how we react and what we do about it. In fact, your reactions and decisions are essentially the only things fully under your control. Realizing this can be a bit daunting at first. After all, it's often more comfortable to think that life just happens to us. But there's incredible strength and freedom in the realization that you are, in many ways, the architect of your own experience. When you start taking ownership, you shift from being a passive participant in your life to an active one. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance, you step into the role of creator of your future. For example, suppose you're unhappy in your job. A passive response would be to complain about your bad luck or how unfair your boss is. An ownership mindset, however, asks, what can I do to improve this situation? Maybe the answer is to learn a new skill or seek out a different role in your company. Perhaps it's to start looking for a new job altogether, or even to have a candid conversation with your manager about how you can make your current role more fulfilling. The point is, instead of waiting for external conditions to change, you take action based on what is within your control. The Stoic approach is not about resignation or just accepting a bad situation. It's about proactive engagement and finding solutions. Another aspect of ownership is how you deal with mistakes. We all mess up. That's part of being human. The crucial thing is what you do afterward. Do you deny your mistake or blame it on someone else? Or do you face it, acknowledge what went wrong, and learn from it? Stoicism encourages the latter. Every mistake is an opportunity to gain wisdom. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils, where they would mentally rehearse what could go wrong in any endeavor. The idea wasn't to be negative, but to be prepared. By anticipating possible obstacles and setbacks, you're less likely to be thrown off course when one arises. It's a way of taking ownership before something even goes wrong. You acknowledge the risks and plan for how you deal with them calmly and effectively. So how can you start taking more ownership in your daily life? A good technique is to regularly reflect on your day or week and evaluate your own actions and reactions. You can do this in a journal or just quietly in your mind. Ask yourself, what went well, and what did I do to contribute to that success? What didn't go well, and how did my choices or actions play a part? What can I do differently next time to create a better outcome? These questions aren't meant to make you feel guilty or inadequate. They're meant to help you see that in most situations, you have choices, and with better choices, you can shape better outcomes. By reflecting in this way, you shift the focus from what happened to what you can do about it. That mindset is empowering. It reminds you that each day, through the decisions you make, you have the ability to steer your life. Taking ownership is a continuous practice, a series of little decisions you make every day. And each time you consciously choose to take responsibility, whether it's owning up to a mistake at work or making the effort to improve some aspect of your life, you strengthen your sense of agency. Over time, you'll likely notice a growing confidence and resilience. You'll feel a deeper peace knowing that you are living with integrity. You acknowledge your missteps, learn from them, and move forward. So the next time you find yourself in a tough spot, pause and remind yourself, I always have a choice in how I handle this. You might not control everything that happens, but you always control your reaction and your next move. This shift in perspective, from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances to the hero of your own story, is transformative. It's at the core of Stoic resilience. It puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your life, which is exactly where your power resides. 5. Practice self-compassion. We often talk about being kind to others, but we rarely talk about being kind to ourselves. Have you ever noticed how you sometimes treat yourself in ways you'd never treat a close friend? Think about it. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards and then criticize ourselves harshly when we don't meet them. When you make a mistake or fall short of a goal, that inner voice might say things like, "You messed up. You're not good enough. Why did you even try?" Now imagine a dear friend or family member came to you and said they had failed at something important to them. Would you ever respond the way your inner critic does? Of course not. You'd probably listen, offer support, and help them see a way forward. So why not treat yourself with the same compassion and understanding? It might surprise you, but self-compassion is actually a concept deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy as well. Stoicism might seem all about toughness and endurance, but the Stoics also recognize the importance of being reasonable and kind to oneself. They understood that everyone makes mistakes, to err is human, and that beating yourself up over every failure serves no constructive purpose. Instead, they suggested we observe our mistakes calmly and use them as opportunities to learn, rather than as excuses to self-criticize. Practicing self-compassion means shifting from a mindset of harsh self-judgment to one of support and encouragement. Start by paying attention to your self-talk, the way you speak to yourself in your own mind, especially when you're under stress or after something goes wrong. When you catch that inner voice going on a rampage, pause and reframe the conversation. Ask yourself, if someone I cared about was in my shoes right now, what would I say to them? Then try offering those same kind words and constructive thoughts to yourself. For example, if you made a mistake at work, instead of thinking, "I'm so stupid, I ruined everything," you might tell yourself what you'd tell a friend. You tried your best. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. What can you learn from this and how can you fix it? This change in approach can significantly soften the emotional blow and help you recover faster. Rather than spiraling into anxiety or depression over a setback, you create a more positive and solutions-focused mindset. Another key part of self-compassion is recognizing that you're not alone in your struggles. All of us face setbacks, make mistakes, and deal with disappointments. It's part of being human. When you remember this, it puts things in perspective. Your mistake or hardship is not a unique personal failure. It's a challenge that many others have faced and will face. This shared humanity can make you feel less isolated in your experience. In fact, the Stoics believed in the interconnectedness of all people and experiences. They knew that understanding others' hardships can foster empathy, and that bearing our own challenges with grace contributes to the greater human story of resilience. Mindfulness also plays an important role in self-compassion. Being mindful means observing your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. When a negative thought or emotion about yourself arises, try to step back for a moment and simply notice it. You might think, I'm feeling really upset and critical of myself right now, as if you're an observer. This helps separate you from the feeling. Seen from this perspective, you realize that your thoughts and feelings are not permanent and they don't define your worth. They are passing mental events that you can choose to engage with or let pass. The Stoics were masters of this kind of mental shift. They practiced seeing things as they are, without the extra drama that our minds often add. By doing so, they maintain better emotional equilibrium. To cultivate self-compassion, it can be very effective to set aside a regular time for reflecting on your day. Perhaps each evening or once a week, ask yourself, how did I treat myself this week? Were there moments when I was too hard on myself? If you find that you were self-critical, think about how you might handle those situations in the future with more kindness. Consider writing these reflections in a journal, or even just noting them mentally. The act of acknowledging this pattern is a huge step toward changing it. Some people worry that being kind to themselves will make them lazy or complacent. But self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook from growth or responsibility. It's about motivating yourself in a healthier way. When you treat yourself with respect and understanding, you're actually more likely to pick yourself up and try again after a failure, rather than giving up. You become more resilient because you know a setback isn't the end of the road. It's just a learning opportunity. In essence, practicing self-compassion is about becoming your own ally instead of your own worst enemy. It's a form of self-mastery that strengthens you from the inside out. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm a failure, or I can't do anything right, stop and take a breath. Remember to treat yourself as kindly as you would treat someone you truly care about. Over time, you'll likely find that this compassionate mindset not only improves your mood and self-esteem, but it also enhances your overall resilience. You'll face challenges with greater calm and confidence because you know you have your own support every step of the way. 6. Embrace lifelong learning. Isn't it funny how the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know? It's a humbling truth that the wisest among us accept. But this realization isn't meant to discourage you. In fact, recognizing the vastness of what's left to learn should inspire curiosity and excitement. It means there will always be new ideas to explore, new skills to acquire, and new experiences to grow from. This mindset of open and continuous curiosity is at the heart of being a lifelong learner. Think of learning not as a chore or something that ends when school ends, but as a lifelong adventure, an endless journey that enriches you at every turn. The Stoics were great advocates of education and self-improvement. They saw the pursuit of wisdom as essential to living a good life. To them, life itself was a classroom, and every day was an opportunity to gain insight and understanding. According to Stoic philosophy, our education doesn't stop at graduation or at a certain age. Every experience you have, whether you succeed at something or faceplant miserably, is a chance to learn and become better. Being a lifelong learner means staying open-minded and humble. It's about approaching each day with the question, what can I learn from this? No matter if it's a day of triumph or a day of challenges. Imagine you're thrown into a situation that's way outside your comfort zone. Maybe it's a new role at work that feels overwhelming, or a personal challenge you never anticipated. The initial shock might be uncomfortable, But within that experience lies a valuable lesson or skill waiting for you. Instead of shying away from these tough situations, see them as prime learning opportunities. Yes, they test you, but they also teach you. It's like life giving you a hands-on workshop to build new strengths. The Stoic approach is to lean into challenges like these. If you treat every difficulty as a training ground for your character and your mind, you transform from someone who fears the unknown into someone who thrives in it. A practical way to foster this habit is to treat every single day as a school day. Make it a routine to ask yourself, what did I learn today? Even if it was a pretty ordinary day, you might be surprised. Maybe you learned a better way to handle a tough conversation, or you discovered something new about yourself. When you start looking for lessons in everyday life, you'll find them everywhere. That frustrating delay might teach you patience. A conversation with a stranger might spark a new idea. A mistake you made might teach you how to do something differently next time. Another important element of lifelong learning is humility. True wisdom comes with understanding that no matter how much you know, there's always more to discover. The Stoics warned against arrogance in knowledge. If you think you already have all the answers, you close yourself off to growth. But if you stay humble and curious, you remain open to learning from anyone and anything around you. So listen more than you speak. Ask questions when you don't understand something. Be open to hearing opinions that differ from yours. You might learn something new or see a familiar topic from a fresh perspective. You can also actively seek knowledge and experiences. There are so many ways to do this. Read widely. Pick up books or articles on subjects you don't know much about or that challenge your current understanding. Engage with different people. Talk to individuals from different backgrounds, cultures, or fields. Their experiences can reveal whole new worlds to you. Try new things. Take a class or workshop in something outside your comfort zone, whether it's learning a musical instrument, a coding language, or a form of art. New hobbies and skills keep your brain adaptable and young. Each of these activities pushes you beyond what's familiar and helps you grow. They broaden your perspective and deepen your understanding of the world. Also, make time to reflect on what you take in. Knowledge doesn't really stick until you process it and apply it. Consider keeping a learning journal or simply taking a few minutes each week to think about what stood out to you recently and how it connects to your life. Maybe you jot down a few insights from a book you read or a conversation you had, and how you might use that insight going forward. Over time, you'll have a record of how much you've learned and how you've changed. Embracing lifelong learning isn't just about accumulating facts or skills. It's about continuously evolving as a person. With each new piece of knowledge, you become more adaptable and better equipped to face the unknown. You also become more understanding of others and of life itself. The more you learn, the more you see connections between things, and the more compassionate and wise you become. It's a fulfilling, never-ending journey. So keep that spark of curiosity alive. Let each day be an opportunity to learn or experience something new, no matter how small. In the spirit of Stoicism, welcome the adventure of lifelong learning. See it as a path to not only personal excellence, but also a rich and meaningful life that can weather any storm, because you're always growing from whatever comes your way. And there you have it. the essence of an unbreakable life built on Stoic principles. By mastering these 6 habits, embracing change, mastering your emotions, setting boundaries, taking ownership, practicing self-compassion, and committing to lifelong learning, you build a foundation of resilience that nothing can shake. Remember, every single day holds a lesson, and every challenge offers a chance to evolve. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you cultivate one day at a time through practice and perseverance. So keep pushing forward and keep these habits alive in your daily life. When setbacks arise, and they will, you'll be ready to face them with a calm mind and a courageous heart. Let's continue learning and growing every day, turning life's trials into triumphs. With these habits guiding you, no obstacle can break you. Instead, each one will shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate version of yourself.